Jeddah Next Gen Tournament, leading 20 and under players. Let's go through their rackets and strings and see if we can learn something from it. Are the next gen players looking for more power or control? Champions from the previous editions were using a slightly more powerful and forgiving frames. We had Alcaraz with Babolat Pure Aero 98, Sinner with Head Speed MP, Medvedev with Babolat Pure Strike 98 1619, and Nakashima Pure Strike 1619 as well. Medvedev and Nakashima didn't have the same impact as the other next gen finalists. So maybe there is already something interesting in this trend. Should the player go with more power and learn how to control it, or go with more control and learn how to be aggressive? But yeah, let's go to the rackets. Arthur Fields plays with the Babolat Pure Aero 98 with RPM Blast. He's more of an attacker. He's ranked at 20. He mentioned that he's not sure if he will even compete in Jeddah. So he might be not as hungry as the other players, but we'll see. I tried Babolat Pure Aero 98. It's a very interesting racket. To me, it is a balanced frame with a slight push towards power, but it's not as dynamic as a traditional Babolat racket. I can see it as a next gen racket for sure. Next we have Jakub Mensik. He used to play with Wilson Blade 1820, but he had some shoulder problems and decided to make the frame more headlight and heavier. He changed his serve motion, and yeah, he had his frames customized by Roman Prokes, and he's a legend, right? So obviously wherever Roman goes, he changes the string pattern of 1820 users to 1819, and so did Mensik. He's ranked 48, he's an attacker, his string is Loxodon Alu Power. Blade in general offers more control than the Babolat Pure Aero 98. We can expect a slightly better shot tolerance from Jakub. He is the player that learned to generate power from control-oriented rackets, while Arthur Fields is playing with a more powerful frame, so he has to provide more control on his own. And next we have learner Tien playing with a Wilson Blade Pro /H22. It is an 1820 string pattern with a slightly more stability and power compared to regular blade. It is a bit more demanding to swing, but you get a bit more power. I would say this player is more of a grinder, ranked 122. So yeah, we have already two attackers and one grinder. And the last player in this group is Fonceca, playing with a Yonex Vicor 98, but in a personalized string pattern 1620. He plays with 125, 120 polytour strikes, so a bit different gauge of the mains and crosses. I tried this setup, but not with the Yonex polytour strike, just the Technifiber Razor Soft. The explosiveness was not to my preference, and yeah, Fonseca is definitely an attacker, so we can expect a lot of fireworks from him. So it's quite interesting what are the choices of those next-gen players, and who is most likely to hit a winner versus who is most likely to make a mistake. So are we more an attacker or maybe a grinder? And I've heard that the courts in Jeddah are quite slow, so in theory grinders should perform a bit better there, because it is a bit harder to perform well as an attacker. I mean, the threshold is set quite high, so you have to be an amazing attacker to get the benefits of being an attacker, while the grinder is kind of, you know, just running around and basically placing the ball smart. The next group is Alex Michelsen playing with a Babolat Pure Aero 98, another point for the Babolat team. Strings RPM Blast. He sees himself more as a grinder. He mentioned that professional players should learn how to enjoy the grind, so he's a great competitor. So I think it will be very interesting to see how he will perform as a grinder on the slower courts, but with a racket that is kinda helping on those tough moments. The next player we have Shang Juncheng, playing with a Babolat Pure Drive 98 1619. I have an update here of this frame, Babolat Pure Drive 98, but this time it is 1620. I can't say many things about it at this moment. You will have to wait for the review. Quite an interesting frame when it comes to its DNA. I still think it is more a power-oriented racket that is supposed to be helping on those more difficult situations. Juncheng is a very interesting player. He's very flexible. I'm not sure if he's more of an attacker or a grinder. He's a kinda all-around player, but maybe he has to find some weapons, because I watched his match versus Alcaraz this year. So he was kinda shifting into this defensive mode too often, and I imagine grinders to be a bit more dangerous on those difficult situations, while he was kinda trying to neutralize the ball and keep the rally going, but he wasn't dangerous on defense. So he's not a counter puncher like, for example, Murray or Djokovic or Medvedev. He executes his shots perfectly, and yeah, he's a very steady, stable player. Next we have Luca Van Assche, playing with a Wilson H22, which is a Blade Pro 1820 with a Luxlon 4G. He's more of a grinder, but yeah, he kinda lost his form. He was in top 70, now he's 128. The fourth player is Basavareddy, playing with a head Prestige 1820 in a smaller head size, 95 square inches. He's definitely a grinder. People compare him to Djokovic. He's playing kinda with the most classic frame from all the players in the tournaments. So if he managed to get a win, it will be kinda, you know, proving that the classics are still important in the modern game of tennis. So I wish him all the best, and I hope he will get some wins and, you know, maybe win a tournament. Grinders with classic rackets are very dangerous, and I know his setup is quite heavy, like around 360 grams, so typical preference for the grinders. So yeah guys, that's it. I think the racket selections are still kinda not so different from the players that are on the tour for many years already. So nothing really changed that much. Maybe this Babolat Pure Aero 98 is something new, and maybe Vicor 98 is more of a power racket, but still 98 gives you this sense of control. So maybe it's quite surprising that we don't see that many 100 square inches rackets now. So in general, players are looking for kinda an interesting mix of power and control. Control maybe through going with a slightly smaller head size, but in general with rackets that can give you power on demand. From those 8 players, Basavareddy with Prestige and Jakub Mensik with a Blade 1819 play with the most control-oriented frames. Then we have Wilson Blades Pro 1820, and then we have the more powerful setups like Babolat Pure Aero 98 and Vicor 98, but Fonceca is playing with a 1620 string pattern. Let me know guys, who in your opinion will win this tournament. I am going with Jakub Mensik because, well, 1819 string pattern, right? See you soon with the next one. Bye bye.